Hello, everyone. I'm
Mm,
so excited for today. You
Me
just don't understand how excited I am about today's conversation.
too.
Just breathe, Sheila. Bring it down.
Me too. I'm breathing too. Let's breathe together. Woosah. Woosah.
So, before I bring in my beautiful guest, I just want to ask this question: why are so many people detached from their feminine energy? So, I want the audience, I want you guys to think about that.
Mm,
Um, Miss Lourdine, you think about that.
bless you.
And as we think about that, make sure you all subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys can get the alerts. Make sure you join the Elevate in Life with Sheila Little Facebook group at Elevate in Life. Make sure you comment, like, and share. Hey, you guys, this is going to be an awesome conversation about feminine energy. What do you call it? The divine
Mind
feminine.
opening.
And
Yes.
yes, and stepping into what you say, stepping into abundance,
Yes. Yes. Stepping
stepping
into
into your
power.
power and all of that. Yes, so just excited, right? If you haven't already, join the affirmation challenge at sheetalittle.com/affirmations.
Ooh,
Kicking off this month with some phenomenal things. And one of the things I'm kicking this month off with is my free consulting call. So you can go to www.sheetalittle.com to
awesome.
schedule your free consult for what? The month of March. This is the first day
Yes,
of
it is.
Women's History Month. And a part of my give back is to do these free consulting calls to help you what? Align, advance, and accelerate your life. Now let's get back to our question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are so many people detached from their feminine energy? This is
Woo.
a question that comes up so much, and I bring in special guests to help
Mm,
me kick off the month of March, Women's History Month, really
yeah.
talking about empowering women, you know, being whole, and this is a colleague, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to introduce yourself,
Sure.
right? So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about this and then kind of answer the question and let's go into a conversation.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you first and foremost for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you and in front of your audience. And I just thank you for this opportunity and for sharing your platform and for having such a much needed conversation around this topic. My name is Lourdine Jean-Francois. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I am also a women's empowerment coach and a wellness consultant with Abundant Consulting LLC. I help high achieving melanated women create
Made it,
true
baby.
wealth. Yes, to create true wealth. And I have an acronym for wealth that is wisdom, energy, adaptability, love, time, freedom, and health, and fulfilling relationships
Yes, yes.
without compromising who they are.
Did
So
I hear that introduction?
that's what I do. That's what I do. That's what I came here to.
Was phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Okay. So why, as a
Mhm.
wellness coach, as an empowerment coach, therapist, what brought you to talk about feminine energy
Yeah.
and really this conversation around this? And then why are so many people detached from their feminine energy?
Yeah. So, not even knowing that my early experiences in life would have led me here, right? Because we often don't know where we're going until we get there, which is part of what's beautiful about this human experience. But it was a personal, my personal experiences with depression and anxiety, and just realizing that I had this tendency to suppress and repress my emotions. And not only that, but also working with and supporting other women who did the same thing. And as a result, were experiencing the same things. And then witnessing my mom and women in my family feeling stuck and struggling in survival mode because they were so detached from their emotions. So it began as a personal journey journey for me. And then I went to college for to become a counselor, got my master's in counseling psychology, and then started to just connect the dots between, what we experience on the surface, the byproduct of the suppression and the repression of the natural flow of the life force energy that we all have. And so that's what brought me here into this discovery and realization of the importance of allowing our feminine energy to flow. And so from that, I created the flow counseling, coaching, consulting method to support people with allowing the flow of that natural energy so we can gain the clarity from our intuition, the insights, and then the courage and confidence to create our lives intentionally. Yeah.
I think you spoke to something so profound, right? And then we can go and answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
But dealing with the, coming up and being taught,
Mm-hmm.
how that we're detached from our emotions. So we're going through all of these, emotions and all of this stress and all of these things,
Yeah.
and we repress it, right? And we don't really know how to express it, nor are we taught how to
Very,
express it. But
very.
then there's this desire to
Mm-hmm.
what? To go help other people
Mm-hmm.
to express theirs,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then now in that journey,
Mm-hmm.
you start to realize that, oh wait, this thing is bigger than just, you know
Yeah.
I would just say like mental health. It's truly sometimes a learned behavior. So
Absolutely.
why are so many of us detached from our feminine energy?
Yeah, yeah, because we live in a patriarchal society, right? I mean, at one time we lived in a matriarchal society when the woman was the head of, the household, the tribe, all the things. And so as time has gone on and colonization and all the things, here we are now in a patriarchal society where the focus tends to be on thinking and doing, right? Think more, do more, think more, do more. And that has caused a shift from the feminine energy, the divine feminine, and has us, to be quite honest, as individuals and collectively as a society, out of balance. So that's
Mm.
one factor, right? The other factor is that we observed the people in our family, the people that we looked up to, our moms, our dads. We observed them suppress and repress their emotions. And if you weren't observing it, we were told, you don't have nothing to be mad about. You don't got nothing. What you crying for, right? Stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about. These are the kind of things
Yeah,
that many of
yeah.
us heard, right? And even just sadness being labeled as weakness, or vulnerability being labeled as a weakness. Don't be too soft. You can't trust people. I mean, all of these things that harden our hearts and
Mhm.
detach us from our emotions. And then on top of that, you have adverse childhood experiences, trauma, poverty. I mean, witnessing abuse, violence, having these experiences and not having the emotional outlets to feel what needed to be felt and to be supported in the emoting of those feelings. So learning to just kind of detach them, to shut them down, to suppress them, as in order for us to kind of move forward. And for a lot of us, that served as a protective mechanism. But as we get older, and start to experience the effects of that, the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical effects of suppressing, repressing that natural energy, then we begin on that, we start on that journey of tuning in and getting more in touch with the divine within. Mm-hmm.
You know, listen,
Come on, Shayla.
listen, man. And I think that we have normalized
Oh, for
it,
sure.
right? In some way,
Mm-hmm.
the journey that you just talked about, that many of us have taken, that detachment becomes normalized. So now my state of anxiety, my state of depression, my dis-ease, whatever that is
Sure.
just a part of life. And so many of us feel like, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's like
Mm,
a fixed mindset
for sure.
and there's nothing that can happen because this is just what it is. And I've been taught
Mm.
not to be able to express it. I've been taught that there's no place for that here. I've actually been taught that, your emotions are like evil. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean?
They're
And the
bad. They're
judgment of that they're
Mhm.
bad, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And so a part of this conversation about feminine energy is to really empower, the audience, our audience, the viewers, to really start to embrace, like, hey, that dis-ease that you're feeling, you don't have to feel that, right? You actually have I want to say, companion energy that
Mhm.
is there for you to
Yes.
access at any time
Yeah.
that can help you heal,
Absolutely.
heal, restore. Because so many of us have been in some type of, I would say, dis-ease, some type of
Mhm.
disconnect that detached us from that and didn't really have the proper supports to take
Mm.
over it. I do have a question for you, and it just came up in my spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is feminine energy
Mhm.
only for women?
No, absolutely not. No, we both men and women, or however you may identify, have both masculine and feminine energy. Yin yang, same thing. And so we all possess both types of energy. It just happens to be the case at this time that many people are more in their masculine energy, and again, because of the things that I've mentioned to you, mentioned to your audience already. But yeah, everyone has both masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is the thinking and doing energy, and feminine energy, and that's considered the go energy. Feminine energy is the flow energy. That's the feeling and being energy, but both are present in everyone. Hmm.
Because I don't want the audience to feel like, even though this is Women's History Month, we're lifting the feminine energy part of us in every aspect of us, right? In our males and in our females, because there are a lot of males who have detached themselves from this feminine component and who also feel stuck, who
Yeah.
also have been traumatized and don't have access to the emotions or the flow, which you call
Sure.
it, that intuitive part of them.
Yeah.
Um, that has been repressed and not given themselves permission to even tap into that because of the judgments
Mm,
around what that looks like. Okay. 'Cause I
absolutely.
do have some males in the group, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
put something
Mhm.
on your website when I watched your video, and you guys I'm gonna have you give them your information. But you had said something about coping versus healing.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
so kind of before we go into um the next question, does this happen when what is the difference between coping and healing?
Yes. So, coping, that's what we do to just to deal with what is, right? And there is a place for that, because sometimes that's all we have available to us, right? Coping. Healing, however, is when we remove the blockages, the energetic, spiritual, emotional, mental blocks that prevent the flow of the natural life force energy that's flowing to and through all of us. And so when you heal, you're changing your perception of life, yourself,
Mhm.
life, others, elevating your consciousness. There's a greater awareness of why things are what they are, why you may have experienced what you've experienced. There's a greater level of understanding of what this life experience is all about. And in that, a greater level of adaptability and acceptance, not allowance necessarily. You're not letting things just kind of go, be what they are, but
All right,
accepting
all
what
right.
it is that you don't necessarily have control over, being able to be with that, move with it and move through it and come out stronger on the other side.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I love how you said that. To me, it's like the situation is the centerpiece at the table, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And what healing is your ability to take a different look at that centerpiece. Like you've been looking at it from one side all of this time, and it's coping with that is
Yeah.
like you just bearing looking at the same thing over and over, and it's just disturbing you, and you're resisting it and all of that. But the
Mhm.
healing process is actually having the permission, and this is what I'm understanding you say too, having the permission to get up out that seat and
Yeah.
take another look.
Yeah.
There's 4 seats to the table, or there's 2 seats to this table. Getting up, having the courage to get up and say, oh, let me take a different seat to see
Absolutely.
this situation differently for
Absolutely.
my benefit and also the benefit of those around us.
Absolutely. And I love that term seat because it's really taking the seat of your soul, right?
Yes,
Seat of the
yes.
soul. I think Gary Zukov, amazing book, Seat of the Soul. It's you being able to see things through the lens of your greater perspective, your higher self. That's when you know you've healed. And in that there's forgiveness, there's acceptance, there's love, there's joy, there's enlightenment, there's fulfillment, right? There's even this neutrality that
Yeah.
comes along with just knowing that this life experience, all that is as it should be, even
Mm,
if it doesn't feel good, right? And
yeah.
being able to accept that as part of this life experience. Yeah.
Mm. And,
Mm,
and again, that requires us to take a different seat at the table because
sure.
you're not going to get that
Mm-mm.
from where you're at and if you're coping with where you're at now.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does tapping into then your feminine energy help with that
Hmm.
process of healing
Hmm.
versus coping? Now, I
Yeah.
didn't have that as a question, but that just came up in
That's
my
a great
spirit.
question. That's a great question. Well, when we talk about like feminine energy, that flow energy, allowing that feeling, the energy to flow. And for me, it's an acronym. So feel your feelings, lean in to courage and curiosity, own your power so you can win. And so when you allow that energy to flow, what you're doing in that process is you're elevating your level of consciousness. So we have lower levels of consciousness, guilt, shame, apathy, despair, fear, pride, right? This comes from David Hawkins's map of consciousness. I know you're familiar with that, right? And so those are lower level energies. And so in order for us to gain greater awareness, we have to ascend those lower levels of energy. And the only way to allow that ascension process is to be willing to feel those emotions. And in the
Yeah.
feeling of those emotions, you're moving up that map of consciousness, which immediately, not immediately because it's a process, but in that you elevate your awareness and you're able to see things from a greater perspective. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And more purposeful.
In a more,
And
yes,
yeah, and that's where owning the power is, right? Because now
that's
when I can take what has been given to me and I'm not in these lower frequencies or these lower energies, I can now transmute that
you
in some
transcend.
way
Yep.
and transcend this situation and see it.
Absolutely.
I think the Bible had said something like what was deemed for my was bad, what you meant for bad has done me well, right? So now
Exactly.
I can extract my power back. And now it's the strength that guides me, that moves me,
There
that
you go.
gives
There you
me
go.
purpose and things like that in my life. So
Catalyst.
Dale said that
Hmm.
your flow acronym was good and salute to you women. That's one of the males in our
Oh,
in
awesome.
our
Thank
group.
you, Dale. Thank you,
Yes.
Dale. Appreciate
Um
it. Hmm.
and I love how you talked about those lower, that
Hmm.
frequency scale because I think that so many people are in those lower levels
Yes.
trying to get to what love, unconditional love,
Yeah.
trying to get to these higher vibrating,
Yeah.
you know, um, emotions,
Yes.
but without this feminine component, it's
And do it.
very hard to get there because you get stuck between like desire and,
Yeah.
you know, and anger and fear, right? And I
Mm.
say a lot of people are stuck within that frequency because we have to be whole. And a part of being whole is to call back this feminine
Yes.
quality in us. So,
Absolutely.
what is the difference between feminine energy? and divine energy?
Yeah, good question. You know, feminine energy is divine energy. So we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And in some places you may see sacred masculine, divine feminine, but it is the divine energy. It is the energy of mother earth, mother nature. It is the divine feminine energy. Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking this curiosity, you guys, I'm in the seat too. So when we start talking about spirituality,
Yes.
right, like the
Mhm.
divineness of life, Mother Earth, I know that there's a little bit of, we have like, conversations about witchcraft or the conversations about hocus pocus and,
Mhm.
but you're a licensed clinician, I'm a licensed therapist. This
Yeah.
is scientific. This is science. This is how the body is built. Can you go into um, kind of disrupting some of the myths of,
Yeah.
what the myth part of this thing is, the myth part of that healing process is versus
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you know,
versus the true healing of
mhm.
no, there is truly an access to everything has a opposite, male female, up down, left right,
And
all
now,
of these polarizations in life.
yeah.
So there's masculine and feminine that's just in nature in itself, and
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with hocus pocus or okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely
King.
right. Yeah, and so when we talk about dichotomies, right, which are necessary, opposites, which are necessary for expansion, right? Just like we need male and female to have a baby, right? Like for example, well, male and female energy, you know what I mean, to have
Energy.
a
Yeah,
child.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And so the opposites are necessary because from those opposites we have contrast, and from that contrast we're able to expand and evolve and create, right? And so when we're talking about feminine energy, we're talking about intuition, we're talking about gifts that we all have, and what we've and part of what has been a consequence of living in a patriarchal society, suppressing, repressing our emotions, we're detached from our natural psychic abilities. Everyone are able to be intuitive and can be empathic, but we just got to get rid of the stuff that's in the way of that. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about divine and feminine. We're talking about the spiritual essence of who we are, that part of us that many of us have turned away from because of conditioning, things of that nature. Mm-hmm.
And I like how you said that too, because that has nothing to do with Baptist, Christian, that has nothing to do with that. This has everything to do with our dynamic. And when you start talking about the power, that gift of intuition, just the knowing when
Yeah.
you walk, and I think we've all experienced that. Like you walk into a place and you're just like, wait, this is kind of weird.
Sure.
Like I'm
Sure.
feeling kind of feeling in my gut. We don't trust it a
Oh,
lot of times
yeah.
because think that we don't have the relationship with
Yeah.
this feminine energy to give us the trust and the reassurance that
Yeah.
yes, this is your energy doing what it is supposed to
Listen,
do and
do.
protecting you and guiding you and allowing your flow to happen.
Absolutely. And it's because we've repressed and suppressed our emotions for so long that when we get those hunches, when we've been in interactions with people and we'll say, I don't really know what's up with that energy. I'm not feeling the vibe. I mean, this is all about energy. Like, this is what we're talking about. But because we've been so detached from our emotions, we don't pick up on those hunches. We don't honor those hunches. And for some of us, we don't even receive them because we're not in touch with our emotions, in touch with that flow, feminine energy. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So, my acronym is LIFE, like love of self, interactions with others, focus, and energy. And I always tell people the E is energy because
Mm-hmm.
energy is emotion, right? And when we can start seeing our energy, our emotions from an energetic perspective, like the movement, I think you used the word emoting, the
Yes.
movement of something that we're so, in a sense, stuck
Mm-hmm.
emotionally,
Mhm.
that it is creating, in a sense, like this kind of wall around us where we only can access so much. And this just came up in my spirit, and that doer now becomes so much more demanding, or so
Mhm.
much more required, because you have to do more, be more, do more, be more,
Yeah.
because you're not in relationship
Mhm.
with your energy,
Mhm.
right? That's really, to me, is like the antennas. It's like the beacon, or like, we have cell phones. It's like the tower that's out there,
Yeah.
like connecting and vibing, like you use the word vibing for you. And if
Mhm.
you don't have a relationship with your energy,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
then you are masculine. You are doing it
Mm.
yourself, and pretty much overworking yourself and working yourself hard, because you're not accessing all of power,
All the power you have.
the power you have. So
Absolutely.
can you talk about this power that,
Mhm.
what happens when you activate this
Yeah.
feminine energy, and the power that's, contained in that activity?
Absolutely. So when you activate your feminine energy, you realize your spiritual gifts, for some, the gift of maybe even clairvoyance, clairaudience, insight,
Right. So clairvoyance is
the
that
ability to
hearing?
see.
See,
Yeah.
okay. And
Seeing.
audience is the
Is here.
hearing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yep. So you open yourself up to being able to access your spiritual gifts, gifts from your ancestors, gifts from the cosmos, gifts from God. All of that falls in that category. Um, so there's that. But then also when you're tapping into your feminine energy, you're able to attract and create with greater ease,
Mm.
because that balance of the masculine and feminine, that is what allows for the ease of creation. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't have some bumps along the road, because that comes along with the creative process, but you can create with more ease because you're balancing both the feminine and the masculine. So you're not having to force and make things happen. You can be and feel, tune in, and from those hunches, take aligned action. And with that aligned action, you're able to see your goals and things come to fruition with greater ease. Yeah.
Right. Mhm. So just the thing, I was so much in my masculine energy. I mean, I know you've said this too,
Same,
but
same.
I was so much in my masculine, like, just growing up with brothers, and I don't blame my brothers, but just growing up with brothers, but truly just being a hustler, right? Just a doer. Like, I need to get things done. Growing up in poverty,
Yeah.
limited resources, a very much scarcity mentality,
Same.
instead of seeing, many pies on the table, I only saw one pie with 8 slices. You know what I mean? And how can I make this work?
Right.
Overworking myself. I
Yeah.
mean, literally got diagnosed with daily migraine headaches.
Mm.
Couldn't get out the bed, like it just like doing, doing, doing.
Yeah.
And as the CEO of my business, I was like that. And then I would hire people in, and it was like they would be like, okay, what do you need me to do? And I'm like, listen, I hired you to do a task. But I
Mhm.
had carried so much masculine
Yeah.
energy in me that I found myself doing everything, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Even as a CEO, I said, we finna sit in this feminine energy. You know what I mean? We're finna sit in this flow, and we're
Mm.
gonna be okay with delegating responsibilities, allowing other people to do things. We're gonna
Absolutely.
be okay with receiving. I
Come
remember it was a
on.
time where, well, receiving.
Yeah.
Yes, I said receiving, because that was huge. Like, I would do everything, but then if my grandma tried to give me $5, no, Granny, I'm good. If somebody tried to give me something like, I'm good.
Mhm.
Even receiving love or compliments or whatever, it was just like it made me cringe. Like, I
Sure.
couldn't like sit in that.
Sure.
So if I'm hiring help, how I was unable to receive like
Mm.
the help that these people were getting, and I found myself just like having to micromanage. And
Yeah.
I'm telling this story because I literally made a decision to, like, okay, no, we're going to learn about this feminine energy, this
Mhm.
divine energy, And instantly, when I tell you, like, I could be in meditation and just hear, like, do this. Like, I
Yeah.
came up with the acronym SPACE. I came up with the elevating life just like that. Oh, I want you to elevate in life,
I
love
love,
yourself, interactions with others, focusing in. I
yeah.
came up with this acronym here, SPACE, a
Yeah.
spiritual pattern that's authentically creating energy. Everybody has a space, right, that we live in,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
so it's like when it stopped being me sitting at the computer with brain fog, and
Yes.
literally like these downloads would just come as I'm driving or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Wow.
when you talk about that, I just wanted to give my testimony to the audience that that gift of clairvoyance, that
Yes.
gift of
Clairvoyant.
clairaudience,
Uh-huh.
right?
Hmm.
It truly does happen when we have the courage to allow ourselves to tap into the receptive mode, being a receiver,
That's
right? And that's what we all desire. Why is that so difficult, Miss Lourdine,
yeah.
to to just,
Hmm.
you know?
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, I just want to say I echo so much of what you shared because myself as well in that masculine was in that masculine energy and had a hard time receiving, right? And was a giver to the greatest extent of the word, not even realizing that there needs to be reciprocity, right? That's that balance, right? But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
when we're in that, then in that masculine energy and that go, 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 we do experience things like headaches, body aches, depression, strokes, even. I mean, there's just so much that goes along with not allowing ourselves to receive, not allowing that energy to flow. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that. And I, I concur. I've been there. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
so why is it so hard for us to allow ourselves to receive? Because we have to be vulnerable in order
Mhm.
to receive. And for
Mhm.
many of us, we suffered some of our greatest traumas when we were vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so the mind says, do it yourself. You don't need anybody. You got this. Can't trust people, right? And so that puts us in a position where we're having to thinking we have to do all the things just to
Mhm.
keep ourselves safe from disappointment, from hurt, from
Mhm.
rejection, from abandonment, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
With desire though,
Mhm.
that someone is going to come save me from this. Like
Mhm.
somebody is going to come, and it's like a real desire. It's like a real feeling like
Mm.
that that I'm going to get help one day. Somebody's going to come see my work. Somebody's going to come see me and
Mm.
in some way save me from this. And I
Yeah.
tell people that's true. Somebody coming, but it ain't from the outside.
Mm-mm.
Somebody you looking for is
Mhm.
the you on the inside, right?
Absolutely.
And what I'm understanding you say is
Yeah.
this access to the divine feminine, this
Mhm.
powerful place that's been laying dormant
Yeah.
in you because for just cause, right?
Sure.
For protection.
Yeah.
But when you get to become an adult, you need access to that to guide you in
Yeah.
this journey and this quest of this life for you, you
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. It really is it's so important because without access to this feminine energy, we are standing in our way. We are in our way, and the way we get out of our way is allowing that energy to flow, accepting what comes up. We got to get away from labeling certain things as good or bad, right or wrong, because it's those very polarities that cause us to resist and suppress things, draining our energy and blocking us from that divine internal guidance. Mhm.
So what do you say about to the people who, we're using words like divine and abundance and all of these words that are so like, ooh, words,
Mm.
you
Mhm.
know? How do we empower people to truly understand um, that, you know, I guess what just came up in my spirit, you're baking a cake. you just don't have all the ingredients. Like, and you can go in and you can try to bake this cake as many times as you want, but if
Sure.
you don't have the sugar to
Yeah.
match the flour, right, your cake ain't gonna be sweet, you know? How
Right.
do we kind of communicate that to the audience, to all the listeners, that
Yeah.
this access to this feminine energy is a part of your responsibility as
Mm.
an adult in this lifetime?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would ask if what they're doing right now is working for them. And by that, I mean, are you moving toward creating the life that you envision for yourself? And if that is not happening, what is getting in the way? And oftentimes what is getting in the way is the blocking of that feminine energy. So, this conversation isn't for everybody, because not everybody is ready to hear it, and that has to be okay. And I think that's part of helping people to be more open to these kind of conversations, by making sure they know that it's okay if it doesn't necessarily resonate with them,
Right?
right?
Yes,
It is.
yes.
It's all right. It's not about forcing. It's not about trying to change, your values or your beliefs about religion and spirituality. It's not about any of that. It's about making sure that you have access to all the tools that you need to intentionally live the life that you desire and you deserve. And if that isn't happening, then maybe it's worth considering exploring some other things.
That's another thing. I love how you said that. And I love how you said that um the forcing part of it, right? That th- this if it's not for you, that's okay too,
Hey,
right?
that's okay.
Um, I think that, and I love how you said melanin sisters in the beginning,
Mhm.
I feel like a lot, I went to Africa in August of 2022. And I feel like a lot of melanated people who are not from America, who, have a relationship with Mother Earth in some type of way, shape,
Mhm.
form,
Yeah,
and seeing that truly was fulfilling for me,
for
and
sure.
I feel like but I feel like, even in the South, my family grew up in the South. So are you from the South? Where are you from?
So I'm from New Jersey originally.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Even in the South, like having access to that and having this access to nature, to this nurturing part of us, to this aspect of us that truly is, I don't know, it's the thing you don't see, compassion, love, you know, it's all of these qualities that is like the wind. You don't see them, right? But you feel the impact of them.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have been so removed from it, and we're so visual in that,
Mhm.
continuing to create the doer doer masculine masculine masculine,
Yeah.
and not the sitting back,
Mhm. Mm.
allowing,
Yeah,
receiving, flowing part of us to
absolutely.
just be and accept. It's like I got to do something. Something happens, and I work with a lot of clients. And let me know if this happens to you. I work with a lot of clients that's always trying to fix it, and I'm like, no, just let it come up, sit
Yes.
with it for 5 or 10 minutes, right? And just allow it to be present
Mhm.
and without judging it as right or wrong, because it just won't be seen. You know
It
what I
just
mean? Sometimes it just want to come up and come out, and this may be the only time. And but that masculine doer, like I need to do something about this feeling. I need to do something about, this pain. I need to
yeah,
go ease it with the pain pill, or go drink it away, or go do something. And it's like, no, some of this is just a part of your, especially when you're choosing to heal,
absolutely. It
a
uplift.
part of this emotion is just the purging of, you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
all of the stuff that has been repressed, in you for a long time. And it's not to be done anything with, but allow,
Uh, yeah, for sure. I had a session with a client just the other day. I think was it yesterday? Yeah, she was upset because she got passed over for a promotion at her job. This happened recently, and what she was most upset about though was that it was taking her so long to just get over it. right? She just wanted to get past it. And in that wanting to get over it, she was resisting feeling what needed to be felt. And so I see that all the time, especially with the women that I support, the melanated women that I support. And I say to them often, emotions, thoughts, they're not problems to be fixed. I mean, it makes sense to want to avoid what feels uncomfortable. However, thoughts and emotions don't operate that way. They're coming up because they need to come up in order for you to heal. Just like blood comes to the surface of a wound in order for that scab to form so the body can heal. These things need to come up in order for you to heal. That's why they're here. Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. When we have that judgment of I feel sad today, so something must be wrong, and we it
Mm.
try to attach my sadness to oh what am I sad about? Oh, I'm sad because somebody didn't call. You know, your mind is trying to, and
Yeah,
if you've been trained that way, your mind is automatically trying to attach this emotion to a
absolutely.
thought or to a behavior. And I
Yeah.
try to see like, no, like, I mean, what's your cycle like? It could be so many reasons
So many things.
that you're having a cloudy day that
Mm.
doesn't have anything to do with
Right.
where you're at right now, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
in your healing process. It's just a cloudy day, and
Yeah.
this too shall pass. And if we
Absolutely.
learn how to be with that in a non-judgmental way,
Right.
just like and allow it to happen, how
Yeah.
empowering it is, because now it then moved through you, moved
Absolutely.
out of you, and now you can use that
Mhm.
to whatever that was, to first of all to change the trajectory of what you used to do, you
For sure.
know,
For
like
sure.
switching the pattern,
Yeah,
you
to
know.
yeah, be empowered. Yeah, to be
Yeah.
empowered, for sure. There's nothing like making it through something challenging, coming through that experience and realizing that you did that. I mean, that's a confidence that comes over you that you can't get any other way. Courage is not what we experience in the absence of fear, right? Or in the absence of difficulty. Is when we face those things, move with them, be with them, that we start to realize, we give ourselves a chance to realize how powerful we truly are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Miss Bernice said the blood analogy was very clarifying. Thank you so much for that, Miss Bernice. It was very clarifying because I think that, like that's the way the body was built,
And
though.
the body
That's the whole.
heals.
Yeah, yeah, it heals that way. Yeah,
Absolutely. The body is
yeah.
meant to be well. The body
Mhm,
is meant to be well. The energy that's flowing through all of us is the very same energy that helps the plants grow and keeps the earth in rotation. I mean, so well-being is our birthright. If we're not well, it's because of the things that we're doing to block the flow of that energy. Oftentimes, the way that we're dealing with our feelings, the way that we're dealing with our thoughts. That's what gets in the way. Yeah.
mhm. And the judgment about that
And
is
the
in the way you're dealing with it.
judgment
Yeah.
and the intellectualization and the rationalization. I mean, all the things we do, the mind does want a complete picture. It's just the way that it operates. And so, what we want to do is just acknowledge that it's doing what it does and know that our thoughts are not things that we have to follow, fight, or flee from, right? They can just be, and we can observe and move on. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, so this what came up in my spirit.
Yeah.
When you talked about feeling the emotions and that resistance that comes with it,
Yeah.
the first thing that came to mind was they don't deserve that. Like if I'm feeling bad about a broken heart, or I'm feeling bad about this situation, or just say that's my picture, and now I want to cry or want to, and then I'm like, because they don't deserve that. They don't deserve my tears, or this person doesn't, or my mom doesn't, or whoever that
Mm,
conflict was with, you
yeah.
know. Can
Mm,
you talk about that forgiveness or feeling this emotion or acknowledging it has nothing to do with if a
mm,
person deserves it or not? This is all
sure.
y- about you, and why we have to allow that emotion to come up, just because I think that people
Mm,
attach the way they feel to other people and
sure.
not
Yeah.
to their own, you know, process.
For sure, for sure. And in that, we end up giving our power away to those people, you know? And so, yeah,
Absolutely.
so I,
Can you talk about that? Can you elaborate on that and how that works?
yeah, so whenever we blame someone or something for anything, what we do is we rob ourselves of the ability to do something about it, right? So in that, we immediately give over our power to choose, our power to change to the situation or the individual, which is why forgiveness is never for the other person. Never. And specifically, when we're speaking about energy and vibration, resentment is a low level vibration. And when you're vibrating on that level, then you don't have access to those higher level energies that, like joy and love, that allow you to intentionally create, freely create the life that you desire and you deserve. And so it's not for the other person. And in fact, when we make it about the other person, we're keeping ourselves stuck in the very hurt and pain that we say we want out of. Yeah.
Tornado. I
Mhm.
like how you said that resentment is a low vibrating emotion versus joy, because I
Yes.
think that sometimes in our minds we don't get that me holding on to this resentment is never going to bring me happiness.
Mm.
Why? Because they're on two different stations,
Two
right?
different stations.
Happiness is on 107.1, that's a station here
Yeah.
in Saginaw,
Mhm.
and resentment is like on 98.9. And the
Mhm.
reason why you want to let that go is because they're two different frequencies, right?
Yes.
And looking at this emotion as frequencies that you're on, you
Yeah.
cannot accelerate
Mhm.
or ascend through your emotional levels if you
Yeah.
don't allow yourself to get out of a certain frequency.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And being in that frequency also affects the quality of your thoughts. Right?
Because if you are 107 point, if you are on 107.1, then you know what kind of music 107.1 plays, right? So if it only plays rap music, then
Mhm.
that's your thoughts. That's what you're hearing. So when you're on resentment, then you're hearing all type of thoughts,
So
resentful thoughts, and everything that's keeping up with that. But if
yeah,
you're on 98.9, that's like love and blues, right?
that's what
Then
you
now you got love. Yeah, that's what you're hearing. Love and blues.
hear.
Love. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's
Absolutely.
exactly why the first step in my method is to feel, because the mind processes information, the mind processes information like 1/10,000th of a second. So oftentimes, and I saw a talk you did recently about the 60,000 automatic thoughts we have per day. Imagine trying to catch and tackle all of those thoughts, right?
Yeah.
In the feeling of our feelings, that is how we elevate our vibration. And when your vibration is higher, you have access to higher quality thoughts. That's where the downloads come in. That's where the creative sparks show up. I mean, that is when you're closer to God, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when you hold on to resentment, you are limiting your potential to realize who you really are and how powerful you really are. Any of those lower level emotions. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. What came up in my spirit when you talked about um the songs and the frequencies is truly just an appreciation for one, the work that you do,
Mm.
right? Just the journey you've taken, and to speak from a place of authority and knowing,
Mhm.
not from what I read about, not from, you know what I mean, what I heard somebody say, but
Yeah,
like what I've experienced,
absolutely.
and really speaking to it in a very, a very clear way, like the blood and the cuts and all of that, so that the audience or the viewers can understand that, hey, this feminine energy is a part of your birthright,
Absolutely.
and it's been stolen from you,
Yes.
and you have a responsibility to get that back if
Get it
you
back.
want the
Mhm.
ultimate life that you desire and deserve. And
Absolutely.
life is not about doing all the time. Life is truly about being. And
Mm.
one of the places that we have to be comfortable in being is in our emotions,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being with it in a very authentic way, in a non-judgmental way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
allowing those emotions to flow through us, to go through us.
Yeah.
So if anyone, or because I know a lot of people are going to want your information, like I tune into your Wednesday, what's it called?
Oh, Love and Light with Coach Lou.
Love, yeah,
Mhm.
Love and Light with Coach Lou on Wednesdays. But if any of the audience wanted to follow you, or wanted to, you know, get more of your information, or to really understand more of this feminine energy, how can they contact you?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're on Facebook, you can follow my page, which is Flow with Coach Lou. I also have a private Facebook group, Powerful Women of Abundance. So you're more than welcome to join that as well. My website, flowwithcoachlou.com, is another way to get in touch with me. And I also have a free case study if anyone is interested in. And it's three secrets high achieving melanated women are using to create true wealth and fulfilling relationships without compromising who they are. And you can find that at workwithcoachlou.com.
Excellent. So now, before we get off, I do have my last question, because
Okay,
I want
okay, sure,
this.
sure.
This
Well,
to
my computer just did the thing. Let me make sure it's plugged up because I feel like it might die. So give me 1 second, okay? Be right back. That's what I unplugged it.
So you guys, while she's on, I just really I hope that you guys are really understanding why I'm kicking off Women's History Month with this conversation about feminine energy,
Yes.
because it's not just a byproduct of as us as melanated women. Yes, it is, but we all need to learn how to step into our flow too, so that we can continue to get the downloads, and we're seeking direction and purpose, and we're seeking, yeah, purpose for our life, but we're not in a frequency where you can even hear it. It's kind of like there's clouds in the sky, and you can't see the sun
Absolutely.
because you're stuck in this place. And when you learn how to, when I'm understanding you say, when you learn how to build a relationship with your feminine energy, it's like clearing the clouds out the sky so that the sun rays can come through. And
Mm,
those rays of sun is like connecting you to, like, this intuitive gift, whatever that gift is. Like she said, it could be you hearing. For me, it's hearing. I can't see anything. But
sure.
for me, I could be driving and I could just hear, like, oh, say this, or oh,
Yeah.
and then you hear me say it come up in my spirit. Like, and at this point, I trust that voice so much,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, ask this, oh, do that. And it has led me to have breakthroughs with my clients, breakthroughs in my life, in my relationship,
Yeah.
and the courage to sit in any emotion that I'm feeling in
Mm-hmm.
life. Like so if it's anger, sadness, or whatever, I allow that to come up and
So proud.
come out.
Yeah.
Um, a big part of, even my sister passed, and I think, oh,
Mm,
this, but
thank you for mentioning
my
that.
sister passed in January.
Mm,
And a part of, even accepting, like, her decision to take control of her life, and,
mm,
and this is what she wanted. A
mm,
big part of me allowing that process to happen, I truly feel, is because I was in good relationship with my energies. You know what I mean? With my feeling, like, it wasn't nothing I could do, and I wasn't trying to do
mhm.
anything. It's just like about allowing her choice to be heard, allowing her decision to be
Yeah.
made, what she wanted for her life, and me accepting that as a part, and then dealing with the grieving process of her not being here, and allowing that to come up as it comes up. Does
For
that
sure.
make sense? And
It
it's like no kind of resistance to that. Today I felt sad. I allow myself to feel sad. Tomorrow
does.
I may laugh about my sister. You know what I mean?
I
And
do. I do.
without judgment. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. I may have shared with you, my younger brother made his death transition 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years this August. And I'm so thankful that I had a spiritual practice in place before that happened, because it is that connection that I have to the essence of who I am, that divine power that's helped me get through this. And it allowed me to feel connected to him, even though he's not here in the physical. right? That's another
Mhm.
benefit to being in touch with this feminine energy. You know that nothing is ever lost. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes form. And you can know
Mhm.
that on an intellectual level, but it's not until you have an experience that allows you to feel that viscerally that you really understand the power of that knowing.
Mhm. I don't know if you guys enjoyed some hearts if you enjoyed this conversation. I truly enjoyed this conversation. It was
Right.
confirming, affirming, you
Yeah.
know, it was everything I thought it would be when we started talking about this feminine energy, and that's why I wanted to invite you in. Now my last question
Of
is
course. Shoot, shoot.
no, my last question
Yeah.
is embodying our your feminine energy all about getting a mate? Because and I'm gonna ask this question, and then because I think that we hear a lot about masculine women in, like, these conversations about how women need to be more in their feminine from a kind of like a duty submissive
Mhm.
kind of like at the home, and like
Mm,
this feminine quality being more domesticated, I guess I would say.
hear you. Okay.
But that's still a doer's energy. Domesticated is still a doer's energy. I don't think it's a being energy.
I
So
mhm.
when we're talking about this feminine energy, is it all about getting a mate, or is it more to it than just getting a mate?
Yes, great question. And there's absolutely more to it than getting a mate, right? Now, the truth of the matter is when you are more in your feminine energy, you can be more insightful about the choices that you make in partners, right? It improves your sex life, right? So there are some benefits when it comes to relationships and being more in your
That it
feminine.
improves your sex life. Eventually, like, oh, let me get it. No.
It does, because if you think
Mhm.
about it, you know, being having the ability to be and feel, right? Being in touch with your
Mhm.
emotions, that allows for amazing intimacy, amazing
Yes, it does.
connections, right?
Yes,
And
it
when we're
does.
talking about sex as a spiritual practice, of course you want to be in your feminine energy, and
Mhm.
the go and the flow both need to be present in order for that to be the spiritual experience it's intended to be. So, does being in your feminine energy increase your chances of being aligned with a mate that is one that you desire, has the qualities, characteristics that you desire, and having a fulfilling relationship? Absolutely. But that's secondary. It really is about you being in touch with who you really are, the essence of who you are. And when that happens, any and everything is available to you, including a loving partnership.
Mhm. I just wanted to end it with that because
Okay.
thank you so much for your presence. Audience thanker, again, comment,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
share the podcast. Make sure that you join her group. You can join the Elevating Life with Sheila Little group. What's your group again?
Yes. Powerful women of abundance.
Powerful Women of Abundance. Subscribe to my Shaping Solutions channel on YouTube at I Am Shaping Solutions. And remember, for the month of March, I'm doing those consultation calls. So go to www.sheetalittle.com for those. And then you can give your email address your web address one more time to the
Yes,
audience.
yes. So my website is www.flowwithcoachlou. And if you want access to that free case study, 3 secrets high achieving melanated women are using to create true wealth and fulfilling relationships without compromising who they are, you can find that on my website as well as at workwithcoachlou.com.
Thank you, Coach Lou. I truly appreciate your time. I'm sure the audience do too.
Thank
And
you.
you guys remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week for second or for our next show. All
All
right.
right.
Till